A lot of people will look back on their year, whether it's this year or anyone in previous time, and they will gauge whether or not it was a successful or a good year based on the output, based on the bottom line, based on how many sales they made, how many transactions they did, how much money they actually made. And I think that's dangerous to do because you're basically saying that unless you did all those things or you made a lot of money or finished out on top, that it's kind of a zero-sum game. That determines whether or not it was a good year or a bad year. Well, I can tell you, quite honestly and vulnerably here, this year, from a production standpoint, in the mortgage industry, while it was tough for a lot of people, but me, I can definitely attest this was one of my not so good years. But I knew that going into it, and I certainly was not going to beat myself up over it. When January 1st, 2024 hit, and I do my business planning well in advance of January 1st, but when I did do it, I recognized it's going to be a challenging year, and I'm not going to ultimately be able to control who all works with me because we've got so many external factors. The NAR lawsuit was just kind of starting to really take hold, at least in terms of the narrative and what agents were talking about. Mortgage rates were continuing to climb, and hitting like 25-year highs. And inventory remained tight. We were also heading into an election year. So a lot of uncertainty. So I recognized that the opportunities were going to be limited. When you did get an opportunity, even then it was going to be very hard to keep it in. So while we did close some transactions and we still succeeded in helping a lot of families, it wasn't a record year. I did know though that this was going to be the perfect year, the perfect opportunity for me to get other things done. All the things that I've had on my list, and so many of us, whether it's in mortgage, real estate, anything in sales, we've always got these things that we're either being coached on or told somewhere, in our day-to-day interaction or the people that we network with. You need to get this done. You need to do that. And you keep thinking, yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to finally get around to this thing. I'm going to subscribe to that course and learn and then implement something. Or I'm going to launch that YouTube channel. I'm going to finally get on social media. I'm going to do this other project, whatever it might be. And you never get around to it because eventually the markets get busy or they already were busy. And these things just remain an idea, something that's on a checklist. I knew that when you have a challenging market where transaction flow may not be as intense, it still can be a very busy and productive year because if you allocate the time and can control these other things, which you have direct control over, that's all about return on effort, ROE, not ROI, but ROE. If I put effort into these things and I can get them done, this is my time to do it. It's a limited window. I don't know what the next year looks like, so let's do it now. So by that standard and by that metric, 2024 was my most successful year. My name is Arjun Dhingra. I'm a two-time Taekwondo world champion, the former coach for Team USA. I put out YouTube videos across various channels to help educate homebuyers on how to make better decisions taking out mortgage debt, to help people of our industry understand and learn that they have powerful brands. They just may not be in command of them yet, and they need to seize that opportunity. And also just putting out things that are going to help elevate this industry so that people become better marketers. But if you like this video and you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. It would mean a lot to me, just so we can continue to grow it and bring more content like this to people like you. But also, please like this video so that it can reach more people. So let's go over what 2024 was for me. Again, we already talked about the fact that it was a down year in terms of transactions, and I already knew that, and I'm totally fine with it. But here's what I managed to do. First, I had a lot of travel because I do a lot of keynotes for various events and platforms that are related to the real estate industry and space. I did a lot of travel for that. I got invited to speak on many stages and to many mastermind groups and just collaborative gatherings that I was able to rack up a lot of miles. This helps me keep up my status with Delta Airlines and of course with Marriott Hotels, which I'm always happy about. But it's from doing all these events and doing all that travel where I get to really expand my network. I make so many more contacts and connections and have the opportunity to first and foremost have impact and influence within that space because I'm there to serve it. But also it comes back to me 10x because the people I'm able to meet and the future opportunities and collaborations that come by way of those interactions and gatherings is just huge. It's tremendous. It's a massive, massive opportunity. So I always encourage people, just like I did this year and I've done in previous years, but really at a high pitch this year, if you get the opportunity to travel for your industry and for your work, do it. Even if it's not the most convenient, and I know it takes away time from family, which it certainly did, and I'm not happy about that, but I am happy about all the opportunities that it created for me, not just throughout the year, but what it's doing for my future years. A lot of these keynotes, again, were for the industry. I got to interact with different groups that didn't have anything to do with real estate, such as young professionals or future business leaders of America, which is a conference I got invited back to for the second year in a row. I got to share the stage with Jesse Itzler and my brother for the first time at an event, which was really awesome. And really what I'm excited about was the fact that I was invited to 2 fellow industry or competitors within our industry, other mortgage banks, to be part of their sales and growth summits. Now, this is a big deal to me because for them to bring in somebody from the outside is one thing, but somebody from a company that technically they compete with in the same market was a lot of praise for me and for my brand. And that's how I took it. And I took it with a great deal of humility and respect, and also understood the high level of responsibility that it comes with. But to be seen that way by your peers within the industry is a powerful thing, and something I didn't take lightly. So that was a huge win and opportunity this last year. I did a lot more broader media, which brought me back and was a little bit of a return to doing more ADTV episodes, which was a lot of fun, and I've always enjoyed doing them. But I also got to be part of other media projects, such as ones that were put on by David Meltzer. I had 2 opportunities this last year to be on his TV show After Hours, which streams on Apple TV, and more importantly, provided so many connections to incredible human beings that I would have never thought would be possible to meet in my lifetime. Mainly Chris Gardner, who was the real life character that the movie The Pursuit of Happiness was based on, played by Will Smith. That was a fascinating conversation that I got to have with him privately, and then spend some time with him at a VIP dinner, but it's something I'll never forget, and it would have never happened had I not put myself out there to be in these positions, to seize opportunities like taking advantage of a media play with David Meltzer. The one thing I'm really, really proud of this last year is that I finally launched the LFG Energy Podcast. This had been on my list, if you will, for a long time, and I had just been trying to find who I was going to partner with this, because I knew it was a very serious type of media project. I didn't want to take it lightly and just do it amateurish. I wanted to make sure that if I did it the right way. So I had a really incredible opportunity that just happened when I was emceeing at my brother's event a few years ago at Forward in Las Vegas. And backstage with Chris Do, who was one of my brother's good friends and one of the main speakers. And Chris is like one of the biggest authorities internationally on marketing and branding and messaging. And this guy was standing next to him who was really nice, but he clearly was not a speaker. Like, he just didn't have, you could just tell that he was there as part of this guy's entourage or posse. So I walked up to him and introduced myself and said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Oh, I'm just here with Chris." And I said, "Well, what do you do?" He says, "I do a lot of marketing and content work for entrepreneurs, but really my passion is in podcasting." I'm like, okay, this is the sign I needed. I've been wanting to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, and this might be it, because he runs the podcast for Chris Do, and then he also advised and consulted Alex Hormozy on his podcast. So I thought, look, if he works with these names, he knows what the F he's doing. So long story, not so short, but not as long. We ended up striking up a working friendship, and I've been working with him ever since, and we finally launched the show. It's given me a real sense of fulfillment, because the thing I love doing, which is having impact and moving the needle in people's lives, this podcast has given me the platform to do it. It's also helped me leverage opportunities to collaborate with some incredible people this last year in really emotional and just deep interviews and conversations that I'll never forget that I had in my lifetime. But also I know the impact that they're having on the audience and the people that this podcast show continues to reach. So it's growing fast. I knew we had something special when the show debuted at number 12 on the Apple careers list, and I just couldn't be more pumped about it. So we had a great first year, and next year is going to be even more special. The LFG Society as a community continued to grow. This was its first full year in existence, and we did so many cool things as a group. The LFG Society had its first full year of existence, and it was a really tremendous year. We experienced a lot because everything's kind of happening for the first time in this first year, but there was a lot of growth. The community continues to grow, and it was a really powerful collaborative effort. The beauty in it, and I always knew that this was going to be the magic behind it, was about the people that have joined the community, which by way of reciprocity ends up lifting up everyone around. And that was the whole premise for the society when I launched it. It's the collaborative effort of all members in a group. That's what a society is by definition, to help elevate it and lift it. So in the spirit of that, in launching the society, when all these people came together, everyone started pouring into one another. Really kind of like, this was like a co-ed fraternity where everyone has their back. It's a brother and sisterhood, unlike any other. I know we've got something special going, and I'm really excited for what the future holds, but we brought in some incredible speakers that took part in our monthly calls, did a lot of business collaboration, amongst each other with outside speakers, and oftentimes with what I love to do, which is to coach and advise and consult. I got to do that with the group head on. And a lot of great things came from it. So many amazing connections have come by way of this group for other people, not just for me, but for other people, which is what my focus is. They've started on businesses and partnerships, which are hopefully going to transform their lives. And so that's what this society has been about. But what I'm really excited about going forward is more of this. And the group is going to continue to grow, if not be one of the fastest growing communities in the country. And that's our goal. Lastly was just a lot of local events. I did so many virtual events this year because it was a way of taking advantage of the micro event concept. Putting on events is a lot of work, requires a lot of effort, and there's a lot of bandwidth for that, not to mention dollars to put these things on. But doing micro events virtually and doing more of them is so much easier. Requires very little work. There's just marketing and effort that has to be done on your end, but the costs are so much less, and it really just comes down to effort. So I was able to do a lot more of these, which put me in front of more people, in front of more audiences, and allowed me to have more reach and impact and grow my other networks and communities. So it was this real nice, high functioning kind of circle of action. But having events, doing a lot of travel, landing more keynotes, which ultimately got me more keynotes, helped us grow our community, and gave me a platform and an opportunity to share the podcast, all while trying to have an impact and help elevate this industry. That's what this year was all about. So it was a phenomenal year, my best year to date in terms of what I was able to accomplish and get done. Do all these things show up on the bottom line for this year? No. They cost me a lot of money. If anything, if I quantify all of them, all these projects and everything I've done collectively has landed me so far in the red, but I'm not concerned about that. I know that the cause and the mission and where this thing is going is so much bigger than any bottom line could even try and project or paint for right now. Right now, I have the opportunity to build something special. And while the market is allowing me to do that, because we all know when markets get busy, you don't have time for doing other stuff. You just got to focus with trying to take and handle all that water that's going to come on board, close transactions, get things done, try and do it to a high level of integrity and service, and make as much money as you can. So this year provided me that. And my lesson for everyone that's listened to this or made it this far in the video is when you get down markets or challenging times, ask yourself, what else could I be doing during this time? What did I want to do that I always used to tell myself, if only I had more time, or if only there was an opportunity to do these things, because that opportunity for all of us is right now. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys on the next one. And I hope your 2024 was as successful in the way of getting other things done. And if it wasn't, I hope it happens for you sincerely in 2025.